what's up, Smashers? Good morning. It is another awesome day. You know how it works. It's always an awesome day. Listen, before I get started, if you haven't head over to SmashweRx.com and checked out SmashweRx Pro, head over there and check it out. There's a bunch of exclusive content that's not available on YouTube, and it's less than a cup of coffee a day. Like, it's super cheap, and not a Starbucks coffee. We're talking that like 72-cent big urn coffee. So we're gonna be talking about shoulder impingement and some rotator cuff issues and basically how to fix it. So let me change this just a little bit. Nice stable platform. So shoulder impingement, frozen shoulder, doesn't really matter what you call it. It all means that you can get your shoulder to about here and your overhead position is about here because everything hurts. But a lot of people don't get why. They go in there and they start chopping you up. They start injecting stuff in the shoulder and they don't understand it. So here's the problem. It's a mechanical issue. Free up the mechanical issue and what happens to the shoulder impingement? Gone, right? So it's that easy. So the way it works is the supraspinatus tendon comes down through here and it gets trapped underneath what's called the acromion process. So at the AC joint right up here, that tendon passes underneath, and as it gets impinged, it gets choked off in there, it starts to inflame, a little bursa in there, all this stuff gets really, really crispy and swollen. Nothing works the way it's supposed to. So now when you go to raise your arm, I mean, lateral movement with the shoulder anyway, this movement, not really the greatest for you. So the reason I'm gonna bring that up is because this movement's better. So if you look, I'm in what's called scaption. So it's where the scapula naturally sit on the rib cage and where that the glenoid fossa naturally kind of aims. So if you're gonna do this, and don't ever do this, unless you're gonna do some rehab drills and you're specifically instructed to do it, don't ever do that stuff because it's gonna choke off that tendon, make your shoulder feel like somebody's gotten in there with a wood chipper. So it's really important. So remember, lateral raises, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna show you something. A lot of guys go out there and they do these lateral raises at the gym, right? And you see them, they get the dumbbells in here, and I'm not knocking you if you do it, but there's a better way of doing it, and they do this. They bend down and they, you know, with these ungodly amounts of weight, because you guys are freakishly strong, that's all fine, except you guys are trying to hit that head of the deltoid that's right in here, that medial head, except you're not doing it. What's happening is when you go up like this, so it's even worse when you tilt that pinky down, and I did it. I was a bodybuilder way back in the day. Before I was a CrossFitter, I used to go to Global Gym and do all this stuff. We do these things called teacups where we would come all the way up and then dump the water, or water pours or pitchers, doesn't really matter. We get up to the top. Now watch something. I need you to see this. What's gonna happen is, this is not turning my shoulder at all, right? This is just pronation and supination. But if I roll all the way forward, that's so gnarly for the shoulder. It essentially takes that supraspinatus tendon and smashes it into that acromion process and then just chews it up. And it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. There's gonna be an injury in there and you're gonna wind up chewing that up. So if you need to absolutely hit this lateral or this medial head of the deltoid, there's a much better way of doing it. As a matter of fact, let me show you something. So gravity is gonna be your friend. So I'll use a dumbbell. This is a light dumbbell, it doesn't really matter. So when you do this, just so you have an idea, when I come up like that, that's just bad. And if I dump this forward, that just chews this up. And I'm still only using this because what people tend to do is they do this and they pull themselves up. You know who I'm talking about, because all of you guys that do that just went, oh shit, he's talking right to me. Yes, I am, because this stuff doesn't do anything. Neither does that stuff. That doesn't do anything either. If you really have to hit that, bend forward a little bit. So now when I come out, I'm still going against the force of gravity, but I'm isolating just that medial head. So if you look, here, I'll show you what I'm talking about. So if you look, I have a tattoo right here. So it's essentially right where the medial head is. So if I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna come out this way, that's not gonna hit this, because you can see what happens is it rolls towards the back. So instead, I'm gonna bend forward a little bit. If I bend forward a little bit, I'll come a little closer. If I bend forward a little bit, now I'm isolating just that medial head. It's a lot easier on the shoulder versus doing this kind of stuff and throwing your arm around, because if I take my arm, just to give you an idea, if I take my arm and I roll it up like this, this is getting all chewed up. So the problem with that is it's not doing anything good for your shoulder. It's just chewing up your shoulder, and it's gonna fray. It's gonna give you a rotator cuff problem, and now you're gonna have a shoulder impingement. And there are so many things you can do to fix that shoulder impingement. So check this out. This is really easy. You want to fix your shoulder impingement? I'm gonna give you 3 things. We're gonna do it. You guys all know what the Glossman prayer is because we've done it a million times. I got my trusty camera stand. So the Glassman prayer, and you'll see what I'm talking about. With the tattoo, you can see exactly where the medial head of the deltoid is. So I want you to understand why we did that, so you can see where everything was. What we do is we grab a band. So we're going to do 2 drills to free up the tissue. And then we're going to do 1 to reset that shoulder joint. So all you're doing, let me come this way just a little bit so you can see what the hell I'm doing. I'll get in the way of that light so Kaylin doesn't freak out and yell at me. So palm down. So we know the Glassman prayer is this, right? So this one's going to be palm down. This hand's going to go down here, and you're going to let yourself come all the way down, and you're letting it distract the shoulder. So what I'm not doing is I'm not rotating up towards any side. I'm going to just come down like this. I'm going to support myself. I'm going to distract the shoulder with the band, and I'm just going to let myself come all the way down, and I'm going to hang out like this for how long? I'll give you a hint. 2 minutes. That's number 1. Number 2, really straightforward and really easy. We need to open the shoulder, and that's the big problem with, there we go. That's the problem with getting a shoulder impingement, is you can't open up that shoulder. So you're going to roll into a band. You're going to grab the back of your own head, and you're going to let it pull you all the way open. So the band is pulling me all the way up towards the rig, towards the pull-up bar. I have my hand on the back of my head, and I'm just going to peel open. So I'm taking a knee. So I'm on my knee, I'm letting gravity do the work, and I'm letting it open up that shoulder, and I'm going to hang out like this for how long? 2 minutes. That's number 2. Number 3 is a simple kettlebell reset. This is kind of uncomfortable. And this one is how we explain, well, I just showed you the floor, but this one is really cool because you're not going to sit in this for 2 minutes, you're going to sit in here for 3. I'm going to violate my own rule. So you're going to take the kettlebell. This is a 44. You're going to isolate the kettlebell. So the kettlebell's locked out and I'm externally rotated. I'm going to reach across the arm and I'm going to let gravity shove that shoulder blade and that head of the head of the humerus into the floor. So I'm not actively pushing it away. I'm going to let it just sit like this, and gravity's going to take over and gradually slide this shoulder, the head of the humerus, into the back of the joint, where it's the back of the joint capsule, where it's really, really stable. So it sits in the back of that glenoid fossa, where it's gonna be nice and controlled, nice and stable, and it can stay like this for, well, I don't know, next 80, 90 years. Now, I'm not gonna make you sit here and watch me for 3 minutes, because that would be boring. It's like watching paint dry. But anyway, that's all you gotta do. So if you need to unglue that shoulder and fix that shoulder impingement, this is what you do. The problem is, most people get a shoulder impingement, and they go to this thing where they can't get overhead. And it's not an issue of being able to do this versus being able to open up overhead. It's being able to even use your arm. And once that tendon starts to fray up, you got nothing that works. The arm doesn't work. You can't flex and extend the elbow. It travels down this entire kinetic chain. The wrist doesn't work properly. Stop doing laterals this way. If you're gonna do anything, bend over, do them this way, so you have to isolate that head. If you guys gotta do that, that's great. I'm all for accessory work. That's super important. That's how you clear out a shoulder impingement. Reset the joint so it sits in the back of the socket where it's supposed to be. I'm Trev, SmashweRx. I'll check you guys out tomorrow. Have an awesome day.